welcome to a brand new episode of Coming Distractions brought to you by the Nerdpocalypse podcast. I'm your host, Jay. I'm here with my co-host, Carrie.
What's up?
All right, guys, we're back. This time we're going to talk about Ralph Breaks the Internet. Carrie, you had the luxury of seeing this.
I did.
This is a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph.
For once, a luxury for me in Coming Distractions, because I see a lot of garbage if you go through my history on this show.
Look, you got to work your way through trash to make your way to some good stuff. So
yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet is a sequel to Wreck-It Ralph, which is really interesting for Disney, because Disney has only ever done a theatrical sequel once before.
To Cars?
No, that's Pixar. I'm talking Walt Disney Animation Studios.
Yeah, okay. All right.
And it was Winnie the Pooh. Yeah.
Okay, I don't even remember Winnie the Pooh 2.
Yeah, well, it was like the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. So, yeah, Ralph Breaks the Internet is Wreck-It Ralph 2, and then next year we'll be getting Frozen 2. So, like, it's interesting to see Disney...
They're like, let's get that money.
It's interesting to see Disney start to lean into the sequels a little bit. But in any case, as we sort of saw in the trailers... Ralph and Vanellope, it's been 6 years since the events of the first film, and the arcade is doing well, but the steering wheel on Vanellope's cabinet breaks. And Mr. Litwack, the owner of the arcade, is unable to afford a replacement. So he unplugs the cabinet and decides, by Friday or whatever, he's going to scrap the whole thing for parts.
Okay.
So in order to save Vanellope's game, because when a game gets unplugged in the world of Wreck-It Ralph, all of the characters become homeless, basically.
Gotcha.
They no longer serve a purpose, and it's a real existential crisis sort of situation in the grand scheme of things.
See, this is what happens when you get rid of your Nintendos.
Yeah. So, but because of the fact that Mr. Litwack has installed Wi-Fi in the arcade, they travel to the internet and they decide to. They heard of a magical place called eBay, where there is exactly one Sugar Rush controller, a replacement steering wheel. But because neither of them understand how eBay works, they end up bidding like $27,000 on this thing. So they end up basically having to create viral videos in order to get the money off of the equivalent of YouTube.
That's funny.
To pay for the controller. And then there's like other antics along the way,
right,
and all sorts of stuff.
Huh.
But yeah,
I like this world.
Yeah.
Like, this world is very funny to me. It's very meta with, our obsession with the internet and video games and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love this universe. It seems very fun.
Yeah, it's very fun, and there's a lot of focus on sort of how Ralph and Vanellope's relationship has sort of evolved since the first film and whatnot. And that's really the core of the film is the relationship between those two characters.
I have to say, I saw an interview with Sarah Silverman, who plays Vanellope. And she seems to have such a blast playing this character.
Yeah.
Like, that she's kind of a Disney princess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally care for Sarah Silverman that much.
I also agree.
But like in this role, she's so good.
Yeah. She has really great comedic timing. If you keep her in a reasonable sphere, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And like she and John C. Reilly, who is Ralph, play really well off of each other. And this, because we are on the internet now, we've got all sorts of wacky new characters.
Oh boy.
And the sort of like the personification of a pop-up ad is one of the best new characters in the film and whatnot.
Nice.
We've got Gal Gadot is a major character in this movie. She plays Shank, who is the main character of a game called Slaughter Race, which is basically Grand Theft Auto.
Slaughter Race. I mean, yeah, okay. How is she, by the way?
I honestly, I didn't even realize it was her at first, because I didn't really look at the cast list beforehand. I was like, they're doing a second Wreck-It Ralph movie, I'm going to see it.
Right, of course.
I didn't need to be sold on it.
Right.
So yeah, it was the credits came up and it was like Gal Gadot, and I was like, oh, neat. Like, she was real good.
So they didn't have to change all of the accents of everyone around her so that she didn't stick out like they did in Wonder Woman.
No.
Which is funny.
So it
That's good. That's good to see that she's branching out into voice work too. That's dope.
It was really good. I mean, basically the whole cast from the first movie is back.
Right.
Everyone's real good.
Okay. Look, you know what? I have not watched Wreck-It Ralph. I've never seen it, which I know. Just relax. But it's just from a timing perspective, I've always been interested in it.
Yeah.
And now that it is its own sort of universe, I don't know, like the video game cameos, and now in this one, like more cameos of like Disney characters and stuff like that are kind of a big deal. It definitely spurs me to want to watch it.
I feel like it's worth to point out, the trailers leaned real hard into like, all of the princesses are here together because they're on this website and whatnot. And I feel like a big sort of hesitation that a lot of people had after the trailers was like, oh, this is just like Disney sort of like making fun of themselves and sort of ass-patting themselves a little bit here. And like, it's a little bit, but like it doesn't dominate the movie. It's like a few minutes of, we see some Marvel characters, we see some Star Wars characters, we see some classic Disney characters, and then the movie sort of moves on.
All right, cool. So now I'm going to ask you, when this review is over, when no one can see this, I want to know which Marvel characters that they put in. So don't spoil it now, but I'm interested to know.
So yeah, I mean, it's real good. My one sort of, I guess, caveat with this movie is like, it is definitively a sequel. Like, you have to have seen the first movie
That's a fair point.
And understand the relationship that built up between Ralph and Vanellope in that first movie, and sort of the character development that both of them went through then in order to fully appreciate what goes on in this movie. Because Ralph Breaks the Internet doesn't waste any time recapping the first film at all. It's just like, all right, we're here now, there's the internet, and go.
I mean, with sequels, I'm of two minds with that. It's like, and not to bring up the Marvel movies too much here, but like, that's a thing that was plaguing them for a long time. They're like, okay, last time on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like they had to spend 20 minutes going over all this stuff. And then at a certain point, they were just like, yeah, we're like 400 movies in. Like, I'm sorry. You're just going to have to catch up.
Yeah.
And I think they were better for it to just drop that and just move on. But sometimes you do like stories that they can stand on their own, because then it's kind of hard to judge. Like, is this movie good, or is it just like part, or act 4 of the last movie, right? So
and it certainly is. It certainly is a standalone story. But yeah, it just, in order to really appreciate the more sort of like Honey Nut Filio sort of moments in this movie, like you need to have the context of their relationship from the first film.
All right, that's fair. So what's your score?
Like a solid 4.
Solid 4 out of 5.
I really, really enjoyed it. There's a lot of like, it's funny, it's dramatic, it's heart-wrenching at times. Like, it looks fabulous in terms of the animation. The new characters are good. The old ones are great. All the voice acting is good. It's just the sort of hang up where I don't think it's as objectively good as the first film.
Okay.
And you need the context of the first film in order to really appreciate this one.
Right. I think those are reasonable criticisms. Yeah, I really like John C. Reilly a lot, and I will see him in just about anything.
Yeah.
Even if I can't see him.
Yeah.
So, all right. So 4 out of 5 for Ralph Breaks the Internet, and we will see you guys next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
You're watching the Nerdpocalypse YouTube channel. Make sure you click that button to subscribe and check out our weekly podcast where we talk about movie, TV, news, tech, and weird stories from around the internet.